Can you hear them creeping in? The darkness. So yeah, that's pretty much my night. Getting those really spooky vibes, and this video is pretty much just me telling you guys a paranormal encounter and story that I had that was pretty scary. I've had a lot of paranormal encounters. I've pretty much lived in haunted places throughout my whole life. It's kind of interesting how like I can't think of a moment where I didn't live in a haunted house, even though we weren't trying to choose haunted houses. But I feel like, America's pretty old, so there's a good chance that there's probably going to be a ghost in your house or mine. For sure, I have ghosts in this house, but that is another video for sure. But yeah, so it's going to be that type of video, scary, spooky ghost story. So sit down, turn on that fireplace or a digital screen that has a fireplace, get a cup of hot cocoa or something. I usually drink tea. Um, that is green tea, and I should not be having that this late at night, but fuck it, it's good fun. So yeah, so I'll just start the story. And if I keep saying I'm going to kill myself or the ghosts will. So where to begin? It started. So I had already started encountering slash starting to communicate with the ethereal realm, such as ghosts and entities of that type, for a while, for like about a year at the time. This was, I think, a couple years ago. Yeah, it was a couple years ago. I was getting my BFA in Providence, Rhode Island, and my home in St. Louis. That's where my family lived at the time. So I traveled back home for a holiday, um, and so I was back home, and my sister had started experiencing paranormal activity in our house when I was away, and she was telling me about it when I was in at school. And so when I got back, I was excited to share my stories and hear her stories and what she was going through, and maybe confront the entity in our house. So she had told me that when I was in Providence, she had told me that it started with she was in our garage alone at night, and she was walking back into the house, and something tripped her, and then she heard a giggle, like clear as day, like in her ear, like children almost, or a child, and so that really freaked her out. And then she said that she was later in the shower, and the she heard a voice just like speak to her. And at first she thought she had schizophrenia, which for those who don't know, it's a mental disease where you hear voices. So she thought that she had that at first, but then she found out that was maybe something more. So I came back over the break, and I wanted to obviously get to know about this. So the night that got really scary was one night when I was with my sister, and we were in the kitchen, and my parents had just gone upstairs to go in their sitting room and about to go to bed. And so my sister and I were alone in the kitchen, and most of the lights were off except the kitchen lights, and we were going upstairs um, to say goodnight to our parents and then go to our own rooms and do whatever. So we were walking from the kitchen into the dark between the dark, like there's like a entryway, like an entryway, so like 1 to 2 rooms before you get up the stairs to my parents. Um, so we had the light behind us of the kitchen, and so I was walking ahead of my sister, and and so I was walking ahead of her, and she was right behind me, and I feel like a tap on my shoulder, like a good tap, like it wasn't like a caress or anything. It was like hello, here, like come and see me. I was like, okay, that's Gabby or whatever. So I thought she was messing with me. Oh, my sister's name is Gabby, by the way. So I thought she was messing with me, and so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna look back just to see. So I swear to God, I looked back, and there was this black hand, like kind of small, like small black hand that was on my shoulder. So it reached back, and at first I was like, wait a minute, was that her hand? But the hand reached back behind her. So this hand, this black whatever hand claw, had reached behind her and touched my shoulder. And then when I looked at it, it retreated back behind her. And just me like glimpsing that like immediately, I like freaked out because I've never been like that was like it was so physical, and then actually seeing it was just like gobsmacking. And I just like got the jitters, and I was like, oh my god, what was that? And Gabby, my sister, was freaking out too, and I was like what the hell, like what was that? And she was like, that's Lucy. And so that was like the first like little introduction just that night, and I was like, okay, that's crazy. Um, and I will talk about Lucy, like the entity known as Lucy, in another video because that deserves like a whole span of time. But so that was my first introduction. I was like, oh crap, like that was like really legit, like real. Um, and so we go back upstairs and we say goodnight to my parents, and I'm talking with my parents, and so my sister said goodnight and she headed back to her room. And so I didn't know where she was, and so I was talking with my parents, and we were done. I was like, all right, good night and everything. And sorry, I'm like reliving the experience right now in my head, and it still like makes me like freak out today. Um, so I was going back to my room, and I get back into my room, and my sister is crouching on my bed like an animal, like a predator animal. She was just like crouching there, like on my bed, like looking at me, and she had the wildest eyes. Like I've never seen her eyes like go that wide, and her pupils were like super dilated, and she looked like manic, but she was completely silent. She was just sitting there, like crouching on my bed, looking at me like a cat almost, and she was just like staring at me like with wide eyes and just like smiling like this and like whatever, like turning her head a little bit. And my gut feeling was, I was like, okay, this is not my sister, this is something else, like something is using her as like a vessel or a translator. But Gabby's not here right now, this is something else. um and so I was like trying to I was trying to play it cool, like I was freaking out on the inside, like very like do 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 alarms, but I was trying to play it cool, so I'm just like, trying to edge towards my uh, freaking desk, the desk over there actually that was in my old house. I was trying to like just like address this, but not like get freaked out. And I was like, so you must be Lucy, and she still doesn't say anything, and she just nods. And I'm like, okay. And I can't, like, it's so weird because, like, part of it was she was, like, not speaking, but at the same time I could understand her in a way. So, like, I asked, like, verbally, I was like, you're Lucy, and she nods. So that was, like, pretty basic. But then she was still on the bed and stuff, and, she did speak a little. I was like, where is Gabby? And she was like, Gabby's not here right now. And I'm like, okay. And she was like, she pointed towards one of my windows that was right by my bed, and she was like, you need to close that. And I was like, what do you mean? Because it's closed, like I don't open it. And she was like, there's a portal right there, and and if you leave that open, things are going to keep coming in. And I was like, okay. And I was like, did I like put that portal there or like make that somehow through my emotions or manifest it? And she shook her head and she's like, no. She was like, that was there before you guys moved here. And I was like, okay. And then I can't remember if we said anything else. Like it was really, really weird because it happened like with a span of 5 minutes, but it felt like an hour. And and it was so strange too because like I was talking to this thing, but it wasn't my sister, and we weren't communicating, and like it was like half normal, but at the same time, like there was like a lot of vibes coming off of her. So like I was reading those as well within like my own self. So that was really strange. And then I was about to ask like something else, and then my sister like just shakes her head and she's like, what am I doing here? And I was like, is it you? Like, what are you doing here? Like, you were here when I came in. Like, what do you mean? And she was like, I was going to my room and then I fell asleep, or I went somewhere else. And I was like, oh, Lucy must have like taken you over or something like that. And she was like, okay, well, I'm really tired now, so I'm gonna head to bed. I was like, yeah, that's fine. Um, so yeah, that was like the scariest, one of the scariest nights that I've experienced. Um, and that was just like the beginning of so much, but that was definitely one of the only experiences that I've had where like the ethereal is had manifested through physical in such a strong way. I mean, it was literally possession. Um, and that's just how Lucy can connect to my through my sister. That's a whole nother story. But that was my first experience, especially after not seeing her for such a long time, being at university and stuff. That was just a crazy, crazy, crazy night. So that is basically just the gist of this video. I'm going to be doing more videos like this because I really like telling these stories and I've been wanting to for a very long time. My close group of friends, and obviously my sister and her friends, like they know about this, but I want to tell you guys it because I think it's important to be able to share these stories and see if people experience similar things or if there's any commonalities. That's usually what I found when I listen to other people's stories. So if you have any stories that is similar of a paranormal experience or encounter, a form of possession, let me know in the comments. I will definitely be reading them because I just love to consume that sort of material. So thanks for listening. I will probably be uploading another video tomorrow, maybe explaining more about a certain thing. That being said, if there's ever a moment throughout my like stories where I say something and you're like, I really like that, like there's a lot of context behind these different parts, like mentioning Lucy and oh goodness, like the children laughing and stuff. So and even possession. So like if you're curious about those and I don't get to that or I skip over that or don't really delve deep enough into it, just let me know and I'll definitely like detail it out later. All right, well you guys have a good night.